Happy Monday, everyone. This is Matt
All
Houston,
right.
and good morning. Good morning. It's good to see everyone here for our June edition of our Monday Morning Momentum. Before we get started, can we have a quick roll call to see who's all present? I believe I see, and we'll start. We'll start in the North Texas region. I believe Abdullah El Bay and Ben Brown are present. Um, how are you all doing?
Doing great, sir. What about yourself?
Doing well. Mr. Brown, I see you representing Ennis.
I'm doing good, thank you.
Good deal, good deal. Now we're going to go to the West. I see Abilene's represented. Miss Moore, how are you?
I'm wonderful. Good morning.
Good deal, good deal, good deals. Good to see you. Lastly, but certainly not least, we have I call him the young superstar, the up and comer, coming in from the coastal region. Lorenzo, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much.
Good deal. I see Xavier from San Antonio has his pilot on it. Has he joined the call?
No, we haven't seen him live
Okay.
yet. Mhm.
Well, I appreciate him at least taking notes so that he can capture what we're going to speak on today. I want to thank you all for joining us. We have moved our time back to 10 a.m. Primarily so that we can get started earlier in the day, and with our original title being Monday Morning Momentum, we want to fulfill the brand. And so for this month, I want us to talk a little bit about our recap of the legislative agenda, in which our president, Mr. O'Neill, will present first, and then we will talk about future events. One being the North Texas regional meeting that's happening later this month, and then we're going to have a session on our state conference, which will be September 13th through 15th. Mr. O'Neill, the floor is yours.
All right. Thank you, Matt. And good morning, everyone. Glad to see everyone on the call as well. Certainly hope that more will be joining as we proceed this morning. And one, I want to thank Mr. Chairman for kind of getting us back into our original purpose around Monday Morning Momentum. It was originally intended to be as an early start to our work week for a couple of purposes. One, to provide a forum for us to at least meet in a cyber environment, to stay in touch, make sure that we were talking in between meetings, between conferences, between scheduled events, to compare notes on one hand, but to share common successes and common challenges, and see if we could all work together to kind of develop strategies on how to overcome those challenges in our local markets. And so getting back to that, particularly on the way to our upcoming annual conference this year, and short term to our regional policy breakfast and professional services roundtable. We used to call it quarterly regional meeting here in North Texas later this month. We had originally attempted to reach Representative Ron Reynolds, who, as you know, is a chair of the Texas Legislative Black Caucus, to kind of give an update on this immediate past first session of the legislature, and any subsequent updates per special sessions that will be called by the governor heading toward who knows, maybe 3 or 4 more special sessions being called between now and Labor Day. It is expected Governor Abbott will announce his candidacy for the presidency. So we need to all be alert on that. Regarding the official close of the first legislative session, I think it's pretty clear, and we've discussed this over the last couple of meetings. Uh, we that is black folk, we didn't get anything substantive out of this legislative session regarding issues important to black business owners. We did have one scare, survived that scare. We talked about that again on a number of occasions. The legislation that the anti-DEI legislation that specifically targeted the state hub regulations. Fortunately, through our efforts as an organization, each of us individually and collectively, and other advocacy organizations, we were able to lock that particular piece of legislation up in committee. And so we're, to this point, at no risk of it being at an end. We won't be certain that it will not surface again in another piece of legislation until all the legislative sessions have been complete. But we think that we've got it locked until at least next section. We do know that the governor signed into law the state's anti-DEI legislation that specifically targets college admissions and employment at state colleges and universities. And that's a dangerous enough piece of legislation because it sets precedent for allowing state government and local governments to meddle in their own individual hiring efforts. I know our former chair and now Vice Chancellor at Tarrant County College, they're struggling with the impacts of anti-DEI legislation at the community college level because the governor is twisting their arms because he added significant new funding for community colleges for vocational training in their curriculums, and is suggesting to them that the speed at which they will be dispersed those funds will be consistent with their efforts to ensure anti-DEI policies are in place at community colleges. That's dangerous. That's pernicious. That's a struggle for each of them because clearly community colleges heavily rely on local demographic populations for their enrollment, and it's going to be kind of difficult for them to justify discriminating against the very, very poor student populations. And so we'll keep an eye on that as well. So I don't think the other thing is, I saw Circuit West on this past weekend. Clearly, we're all aware that the Attorney General has been impeached by the House, and that impeachment now goes to the Senate. Both sides, both pro impeachment and anti-impeachment, have armed themselves up with fairly high-powered legal teams. It's interesting from a long distance or 40,000-foot view to see how much the Texas Republican Party has committed resources to impeach Paxton. At the same time, a very much smaller group of Republicans, but a more vocal group, has contributed significant resources to keep him in place. So we'll watch. Again, Senator West, his only assurance to us or me at that time was he's on the jury. And so he'll be doing his part to make sure that justice prevails in that particular bit of political infighting in the Republican Party. Second to that, I think probably as important as anything else we'll talk about, and Mr. Chairman noted that we'll get a broader discussion of our upcoming events, particularly our annual conference that we rely so heavily on in the last few years. on local chambers for their input on the content of our workshops and presentations during the annual conference. And we really encourage that kind of interaction between local chambers and a level conference planning committee. We think it's important to get that kind of input to the planning process. But one of the things that is continues to be a problem for all of us, I think it seems, and maybe made more top of mind, is as noted today, later this evening, the Greater Southwest Black Chamber of Commerce will recognize and memorialize the life and work of the late great Linda Gray, the founding president and leader of that organization for its first 13 to 15 years of service to North Texas. And that is leadership development and succession planning. I know that a number of our organizations across the state are struggling with establishing a firm leadership, and I'm not trying to point anybody out, but I know that I've had conversations with Mr. Brown's organization, Ennis. I know that Tyler has struggled. Certainly Longview has struggled. Greater Houston is struggling right now. Prairie View is struggling. So a number of organizations here in our membership are having difficulty, one, filling up the pipeline, and then readying those individuals who have offered themselves for service when the time comes. And so I think we want to make sure that we build in a couple of workshops on leadership development and succession planning for local organizations in our annual conference. It's going to be more and more critical, not just for the sake of the organizations themselves, but for how we're able to coalesce around issues across across the footprint as an organization, for us to be able to speak effectively with one voice, with clarity on issues that are important to all of us. And so the time and effort that we devote to developing a strong base of leadership in our local markets strengthens our position, our ability to, again, articulate our concerns across the entire voice of the organization. And so we really want to be mindful of that. And then in forums like this on Monday Morning Momentum, I think, again, when we're able to crystallize a formula that works perhaps in one market that can be transmitted to other markets, then we can all share in the success stories that local organizations have accomplished in their markets, and try to apply those across the entire footprint. So that's a quick and dirty, Mr. Chairman and members. If there's something else or any questions that I might be able to answer to that, and we can proceed with our meeting from there.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you for your report. Thank you for your updates, but most importantly, thank you for being our eyes and ears in Austin, because this has been a very turbulent session, and it's not over. I know that Representative Reynolds is doing all that he can. It's just been an uphill battle for people who advocate for our community in Austin. And so I want to thank you for the work that you've done. I don't want to understate the impact TAC has made with the state, particularly with one of the anti-DEI bills in which we marched in their office to the point where we not only killed that bill, but we threatened them in a space, a non-aggressive manner, but it was received as people watching what they're doing. And that's the role of our organization. To be quite honest with you, we need to build our bench even deeper. And it's really important for all of our chambers to to be informed and to attend September's conference, because we're not only I not only want us to discuss succession planning, but I want us to discuss how we as Black chambers navigate in these new laws that will be enacted September 1. So that's going to be another key program lane for the conference. We could talk about that a little bit later. I do want to mention before we go into our individual meetings, some updates that our project manager, Kristen O'Neill, has made. And if you would like to make some remarks, you can. I'm not putting you on the spot, but I will say, if you notice that we sent an email, I sent an email Friday or Saturday from chairman@tac.org. We are in the process of transitioning all of our technology into our G Suite with the Texas Association, through Google, through our relationship with Google. And Kristen has been key in transitioning. So I want to thank you, Kristen, one, for what you've done so far, and two, give the board, give people expectations of this G Suite, our communications, things of that nature.
Sure. Thanks, Matt. Yeah, so this has been about a 2 to 4 week process of getting everything kind of switched over between technical issues with migration and the back end of moving from GoDaddy back into Google and all of that, which some of it I admit might have been some user error, but all in all, it has been a pretty seamless transition. And so what it has allowed us to do is move some of our communication as far as email hubs, as well as file sharing and things of that nature, to our TAC Google Workspace. And so one thing that we look forward to being able to do is potentially transfer or get most of our chambers, if not all, into that same kind of Google Workspace, so that file sharing and things like that would be a lot more seamless for us as we move forward in the coming years. That's just one aspect of this Google Workspace. Our hope is to, as we continue to do that and build and use this Google Workspace, that we can continue to leverage our relationship with Google and continue to get some grant dollars coming in, so we can show them in good effort that this is something that works. This is something that we've been able to share with our chambers, and they've been able to make it work. And whether that's within the chamber organization or their ability to share with their businesses, the Google Workspace, and how that really works and how it can be a benefit to not just our chambers, but to the businesses that we serve. So that's it.
Thanks, Kristen. I appreciate that, and appreciate all the work that you're doing. You will see more information from her via the project manager account. We have also incorporated QuickBooks. Make sure I'm not over speaking, Kristen, but something we've been discussing in the last several meetings of our membership updates and sending out invoices. We have now, once we've synced with Google, and we're now able to do that through QuickBooks as well. So, Kristen, have you already sent chambers the invoices, or will that be this week?
Yes. So invoices have gone out. If you have not received it, that means we need an updated email address from you. That was perfect, Matt. So that we can get that updated in both our QuickBooks space, but as well as our the Google Workspace and Constant Contact, so that we make sure that as we're sharing information, that we have your most up-to-date contact information. So, yeah.
Mr. Chairman, if I can jump in real quick, and everybody recall, I think a couple of years ago at our Houston annual meeting, we elected to move memberships to 1 January so that we'd have a common membership expiration and beginning date for all chambers rather than this system that we had for years that was connected to the date that you quote unquote joined TAC. And so the invoice that you received would, in techno speak, would have been issued to you 1 January of 2023. But the time that Kristen and Matt just referenced in kind of flattening the distance between our old platform on GoDaddy to now the Google Workspace and interfacing it with our QuickBooks will allow us to have a more seamless delivery of not only invoices, of course, but other content to local chambers. And so, so if you're just seeing an invoice here in June, it actually would have been issued to you in January. Don't stress. You know that we've never stressed, played hardline on invoicing for membership. But as we fine tune this system, you'll see it more regularly, and it will coincide with our stated objective of membership being effective as of 1 January.
Yes. So moving forward, Mr. President, there will be recurring auto recurring kind of invoice that will automatically go out, and that will be set for January 1. So this June invoice that went out had the subject line of 2023 annual membership fee. And then moving forward, it will have a recurring one. And that again will start on January 1 of 24.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Ms. O'Neill, for the work that you've done in building systems for TAC. All of us as business advocates and entrepreneurs can understand and empathize the process that it takes to improve efficiencies. And so we want to thank you for your patience with that. We also want to be very transparent that we are building systems so that TAC can be sustainable and here, not only in 2023, but beyond, because we are doing our job. We're doing what we can to build our digital net for all of our Black chambers across the state. And we have to do that with communicating with you all first before being able to expand to our 350,000 potential members of Black businesses across the state, in which we want you as Black chambers to be the hubs for those local businesses to build our economy. All right. Next on our agenda will be our North Texas regional meeting, which will be in a couple of weeks. It'll be next Thursday. We have scheduled for June the 23rd at the DeVoyd Jennings Business Assistance Center. The Fort Worth Metropolitan Black Chamber of Commerce will host this event, and this will be sponsored in part by Encore Utilities. We've had a conversation. I would love for Mr. O'Neill to update us on why we want Encore to be a part of this session. But from a 30,000 foot level, we've all stated that all of our members, well, one, based on Charles's, Mr. President's comments earlier today, and my interactions with other Black chamber leaders across the state, we're all in a state of trying to build our chambers. All of us are in a position where we need more support. And so we, from a state organization, is seeking that expansion as well. And that is calling on our state or large state entities, potential corporate partners, to provide a different type of relationship with us. And with that, we had a conversation with Encore and with the Dallas Citizens Council, Kelvin Walker, the CEO of the Dallas Citizens Council, just to discuss how TAC can be more prevalent in the state level and how we will need more support outside of our chambers. But with that, Encore did agree to provide support for our meeting, in which they will provide opportunities and strategies as how they can build relationships with local businesses through the procurement process. And so, Mr. O'Neill, would you mind talking to them a little bit about our meeting last week with Encore and how that's going to tie in with next week's meeting, and how we will need definitely every chamber that's in the North Texas region. I see 4 of them are represented here. I see Dallas has joined us, Greater Southwest, of course, Ennis, and I believe I saw Denton as well. We need, that's 4 out of the 8 chambers in our area that we will need to see on the 23rd. Mr. O'Neill, please update us on that conversation.
Mr. Chairman. Yes, and good morning to both Kerry and Harrison, who, again, as Matt noted, just joined us. Encore, as you know, has been a long-term supporter of the work that we do as an organization. Long time. Myself and one of their governmental affairs persons serve on the Texas Association of Business Board of Directors. Many of you know that TAB is the group that presents itself as representative of all Black-owned businesses. In fact, as a side note, I serve on that board because of DuBois Jennings. And Mr. Jennings was a long time active with that organization, and when he felt the need to spend more time at Fort Worth business and knew that I would be in Austin anyway, he recommended that I be tax representative on that board. Well, long and short, as you know, TAB spends virtually no time, no consideration at all for the challenges that we face as Black business owners. And as I noted, Encore's government affairs lobbyists, their rep, and I have had extended conversations that made its way up to their vice president, Autry Warren, who was on the meeting. One of our goals as an organization is to have TAC regarded and financially supported in the same manner as Texas Association of Business is. And so we have convened a loose group of the Black Lobby Corps in Austin, who all agree that the work that TAC has done over the years in support of Black-owned business deserves the same kind of financial support. And Encore and Charter Communications were among the first to make their mouth and their pocketbook say the same thing. And so it resulted in this added boost of support, again, buttressed by their commitment to expanding their vendor database and the contract awards to Black Chamber members in their service footprint, which includes most of North Texas. And so kudos to Encore for that. As a side note, and as a part of the part that fueled this expanded conversation, as noted, the anti-DEI legislation did pass this last session, SB 17. And what we were able to remark as a result of that passing, none of the 55 Fortune 500 corporations headquartered in Texas said a peep and each of them have DEI statements in their corporate public facing documents. So it's kind of a schizophrenia thing going on. They're fully supportive of legislation because many of them financed the anti-DEI legislation through support of people who carried that bill, knowing the impacts will be felt by the people that we work the hardest for. And so, again, kudos to Encore for making their commitments match both financial support and for the work that we do through expansion of program and expansion, again, of business opportunities for the people we work for. That's a little roundabout, Mr. Chairman. I think it captures the spirit that drove what is turning into this June 23rd meeting at the Fort Worth Black Chamber. And we hope to engage a number of other major corporations based here in the state of Texas around the same kind of conversation, with the goal of one, strengthening the organizational base of TAC, but also opening up more financing opportunities, more grant opportunities from TAC to member chambers, and expanded access to corporate support for local chambers.
Good deal. Thank you, sir. And with that, as Mr. President stated, Encore not only have assisted us in creating a plan to expand our footprint at state level, but they are also are going to provide staffing, or they're going to provide resources for our 23rd meeting in terms of their procurement program, interacting with our business leaders to show us how we can be more part of their procurement process. And so at this meeting, it's very important for chamber members, chamber leaders, and chamber heads of the North Texas and others. If you all would like to, and everyone from TAC is open to come to Fort Worth to join this northern regional meeting. But this is intended so that we can get more information, build relationships with a large state entity. So please register for this event. We're finalizing food logistics as we speak now. And there's also we are discussing internally a potential date change to the next Friday, the 30th, because we want to have potentially more time for us to have working sessions with our TAC leaders. But be on the lookout for that. We will adjust that if needed, and we will let you all know within the next day or two. We will finalize that. Today or tomorrow. But I wanted to give you all the spirit of our June 23rd meeting, because it's an important one for us to kind of assemble and continue what we've done in Abilene and in Houston, and that's to build awareness for TAC across the state. We think it's going to take time, but it's important for us to be very intentional to have these regional meetings, so that you all can feel heard, so that we can communicate with you, and so that we can apply from the grassroots level how we can navigate in Austin. So please, there was a flyer attached to my email Saturday. Please scan that QR code so that you can register for the event. Are there any questions? Okay. Lastly, I want us to discuss our conference that will be September 13th through 15th. Ms. O'Neill, do you have any updated logistical information on the conference? before we move forward with having an open forum to discuss programming opportunities for that.
Sorry, if you give me 1 second, I can share the screen with the updated flyer, the save the date for you.
Sounds good. And while you're doing that, like I said, the conference will be in the Austin area, September 13th through the 15th. Cliff Freeney, our treasurer, has agreed to host the golf tournament. We will provide you all those logistics in the near future, but we are seeking 10 members, 10 representatives from each chamber to attend this conference. Why do we want this to happen? One, we want all of our chamber leaders, which are chamber presidents and chamber chairs, to be in one room with everyone so that we can align our mission with our local chambers. Secondly, having chamber members attend this event is beneficial to fuel ideas for your local markets. We will provide workshops. We've had Black chambers conduct workshops at our previous conferences that are beneficial, that other chambers were able to take back home and build there. And we want this to be the space that you can do that. Thirdly, we've always have had the reputation of having quality content at these conferences. But unfortunately, we never have the attendance that's optimized. That could be for a lot of reasons. One thing that we're doing on our end this year is to inform you all early enough so that people can register and be informed. We want this month to hear forms for, we've discussed last month on programming ideas. We want to be a bit more specific in our last 15 minutes of this call because we really want to include you in our programming process. But after this meeting, we must move forward so that we can get registrations up. So if you all have ideas of speakers, ideas of programming, things that can attract either local businesses in the Austin area or chambers, your chamber members that will be willing to drive down, please let us know here so that we can plan accordingly and effectively distribute information so that you all can have enough time to register and let new people know. All right, Tristan, are you ready?
Yeah, it won't let me do a full share, so I was able to just kind of flash it up, but it won't let me do the full share. So don't worry about it. We'll send out the
Save the date.
the document. Mm-hmm.
Okay, good deal. Do we already have a registration form set up for our conference as well?
No, but they can be done by the end of the day.
All right, let's do that and add that to our save the date so we can start our at least our preliminary registrations going. If you've noticed, we've been using QR codes and Eventbrite to capture our registrations so that we can not only capture data but also do things in a digital format. So, Mr. President, do you have any comments on the importance of the conference before we open it up to the body? You're on mute, Charles.
One thing in particular, we want to stress that we are in full active shop for a venue mode. I am working to, if at all possible, match our dates with availability at the Marriott Courtyard Pflugerville Convention Center. We were there, I think, in 2019 or 20. I can't remember exactly, but it's a big venue, a fairly new property. It is big. We have a friend there on the city council. In fact, runs the Legislative Black Caucus Foundation, Rudy Mataye. local lawyer there in Austin, who came out and greeted us the last time we were there in Pflugerville. It's not in downtown Austin. It is on that loop, so it's
183,
fairly
yeah.
accessible.
Mhm.
It's fairly accessible. Like I said, it's a great property, great convention facilities. We had a great meeting there. In fact, that was one of our most recent inductions into Texas Black Business Hall of Fame, was during that conference. So we'll work on that. We had looked at some other deals, the Carver Cultural Center there in Austin, unfortunately, are just unavoidably, they're undergoing renovation that extends through the end of this year. And so they would not be able to accommodate us, but it's a great venue as well, more centrally located in Austin. But of importance on the Pflugerville deal, if we can match the date together. Now, they were very, very lenient on their room block guarantees and on room rates per night. And so we'll try to finalize that toward the end of this week, first part of next week. And so we'll have a good 3-month window on registration and finalizing conference content.
Thanks, Chief.
Yes, sir.
And so the breakdown for our conference is typically the day one is networking and our golf tournament. Our second day is when we start our workshops. We typically have our State of Black Business in Texas by William Bill Cunningham, who will provide a national scope and then specify with the Texas markets. And then following that, we will have workshops throughout the day in which we have chamber leaders. We also have individuals, professionals, subject matter experts attend of the conference and provide feedback as workshop presenters. We also have had state agencies be a part of our conference. We've had vendor, historically, we've had vendor booths of procurement opportunities for procurement opportunities of state agencies and large our corporate sponsors and partners. And so there'll be a place for networking at that time. And then we will typically have an evening event which we honor. We will have an award ceremony, which we honor we'll honor local businesses across the state. And so another thing I would want our local chambers to do is to participate and nominate members of their organizations that's been doing things above and beyond at their local chamber to apply for a state chamber award so they can be acknowledged statewide. I think that's something that can be a benefit to you as a local member to expose your chamber members to state organizations for potential business expansion or exposure. But most importantly, it just shows that Black businesses are uniting and supporting one another and acknowledging one another at the state level. And so it's important for us to build this face-to-face meeting, as we've had several years of having virtual meetings and having our annual conference in Dallas. Last year being a success, we want to build on that and have at least 300 people at our conference in September, excuse me. With that being said, are there any questions or any suggestions as to how we can galvanize our Black businesses to the Austin area in September? You can feel free to unmute yourself, state your name, chamber, and then provide us with feedback. Good deal. I won't put everyone on the spot. If you do have questions or if you have feedback, I know a couple of people have submitted things earlier. We do have a couple of chambers who've already volunteered some of their members. I know that Corpus Christi has someone who's willing to work on our committee. So I thank Coretta for doing that. If y'all have anyone, please email the three of us, Chairman, CRO at TAC, and Project MGR at TAC, I believe, Project Manager at TAC, for suggestions on the conference, because you all will receive more information in the near future so that we can get registrations going. All right. Mr. President, it is 10:53. I want to leave this, I want to leave the last portion of our meeting open to any comments or any feedback that chamber leaders may have, so that we can discuss issues either locally or things that we can do to provide support for chambers across the state.